Okay people, I gotta stress to you right now, as you're watching this video about Tokyo Revengers based off the first episode, if you're a fan of the anime Erased, I think this is going to be up your alley. Right then and there, I bet I got you hooked. I bet I got you at the very least interested, like, wait a minute, I like Erased. What's going on here, Fornev? Talk to me, what's this all about? The new spring season 2021 of anime has begun, and with it has been blessed and graced upon us Tokyo Revengers with episode 1 as of the recording of this video. And fam, since I watched this episode last night, I've been like, yo, I can't wait to talk to the people about this one. We've got to talk about it because, fam, like I said, Erased vibes, very strong Erased vibes, and I like Erased. I really like Erased. So without further ado, people, it's time to talk about Tokyo Revengers. Let's do it.
No matter how you feel, get it done. No matter how you feel, get it done. No matter how you feel, get it done. No matter how you feel, get it done.
Okay people, so I came into this one blind. Like, I know there's a manga out there, and I know a lot of people have read the Tokyo Revengers manga. I want to say it has like 10 million copies out in circulation out right now. So I know that it's very popular, but I never read the manga, and I've heard about it for a long time, but I was like, maybe it'll get an anime someday and I'll check it out. And the anime is here, and I could very well see at the end of this season, of this wrap up of 24, I believe it's been confirmed for 24 episodes, I could see myself reading the manga based on the premise alone, based on this first episode alone, because yeah, in case you can't tell already, I really liked this first episode. So the story follows Takemichi Hanagaki, basically average dude, nothing spectacular about him, but at the very least in the beginning of this episode, he's talking about life. He's talking about basically how he feels as though he peaked in middle school, and this is, I want to say, taking place at this point 12 years after middle school, so he's got to be like, what, in his mid-20s or something along the lines of that. So he's not typically young, although to be honest with you, that character design could have fooled me. I thought he was in middle school when I seen that character design, but apparently he's actually in his, I'm guessing again, 20s, but he's thinking about life again, and he's romanticizing middle school and saying, yeah, that was the best parts of my life. He's about to take a train when suddenly somebody pushes him onto the platform in front of an oncoming train, and yeah, that's where the journey actually kind of sort of begins, because seemingly he gets sent back in time to when he was actually in middle school, and his character design is so different because back then he was kind of like a little bit of a Chad, so to speak. He was trying to be a gangster. He had like blonde spiky hair and big baggy black pants. Like, dude thought he was thugging it out and shit like that back in the day, which at first when I saw the designs, like, I thought, oh, it looks kind of cool, but then when you get into the episode and the way he describes it, like, yo, I thought this was peak me, like, I'm such a dork. I was like, yeah, you're kind of right in a way. But apparently at that particular point, he had the only girlfriend he ever had. I believe her name was Hinata Hachibana, and apparently in the future she actually died. If I'm not mistaken, the series takes place in the future timeline 3 days after her death. She dies July 1st, 2017, and he got pushed onto the platform, the train, if I'm not mistaken, like on the 4th of July, or 3rd of July, something along the lines of that. So it's right around that time where she actually died, but in the past, she's still alive. And it was kind of interesting. It felt like really weird because we're getting the narration and the perspective of everything that's going on in this past timeline from the eyes of somebody that is older, which again gives me strong Erased vibes. I'm curious when this manga started publication, because again, it really reminds me of Erased, getting sent back in time to middle school essentially to a certain degree, but you still have like your older mentality. Like, I like that it gives it a different perspective, not like the typical, you know, oh, I'm 15, 16 years old, or just in general anything like that. It actually feels almost like you could argue like an isekai to your own past. And you see the crew that he was rocking with at the time, which I'm imagining as the season progresses, we're going to get to know them more, because as it stood right now, they were just like all a bunch of punks. Like, every last one of them were a bunch of punks. I'm curious to see what the main character Takemichi was like back then opposed to how he's acting now, because all of them are saying like, yo, you kind of acting a little sus right now, what's going on with you? But I'm imagining back then when he was actually in middle school, he was probably a punk, probably talked a lot of smack, probably thought he was tough and things like that. But again, immature, and who he is today, even though he's reliving his past to a certain degree, is very different. And I also love how they basically got the living shit kicked out of them by those thugs, those gangsters, whatever you want to call them. Main character thought, well, my cousin told me that, like, yo, he ran that gang, but in actuality, his cousin was major cap on all of that. He was there like water boy or some shit, which that was hilarious. Like, again, it just felt, I don't know, very unique. unique, this series. Like, again, it reminds me of Erased, but it had its own touch and its own flavor to it as well. Because if we're comparing it to Erased, for starters, Erased didn't have like this whole gangster vibe of like, you know, these characters that think they're tough and things like that. So that really wasn't incorporated in there. It was mainly like this really sad and tragic story of this one kid on his own. With this one, I feel like the main character has a little bit of a grasp more of how to handle things to a certain degree. And then after talking some smack to those thugs, basically they get the living shit kicked out of them. And I was like, I don't know why, that kind of felt a little satisfying. And following that, he goes to visit his, again, at the time girlfriend, Hinata Hachibana, and he cries to her, which I think it was a mixture of things. Like, first of all, he got his ass kicked, so that's probably gonna have you a little bit emotional, but also he knows in 12 years in the future she dies. So I think that was the biggest impactful moment for him of like, oh shit, she's still alive in this time period. I wonder why they broke up. I guess that's going to be explained, because like we know in the future eventually they broke up, so we'll probably get that exploration, and he'll try and I'm assuming navigate through that so that they don't break up, or so that at the very least he could stay close. Which again, that girlfriend dying in the future also reminds me of Erased, and I hate to keep harping on it because it's not like I'm doing it in a bad way. I'm just showing the idea of what this story reminds me of and how I feel about it, because again, I like Erased and I really like this first episode. But then eventually, after meeting with his girlfriend from the past, he runs into her little brother and he spills the beans to him like, yo, in the future you died, because the little brother I guess died with her as well due to like gang violence. I think they both die in the future. So he tells him like, yo, 12 years from now on July 1st 2017, both of you are going to die, and essentially like do everything you can to stop it from happening. So that's kind of right there the seeds planted so that the past can be changed essentially, because everything up until that point was just beat by beat what actually happened in the past. Like, sure, Takemichi was probably different the way he was acting, but in terms of like the events of him getting beat down, of him talking, like all of that stuff was for the most part what happened in the past, minus that scene of him running into the brother, which I'm assuming him going to visit the girlfriend after the fight is what initially triggered the change, because maybe he didn't do that in the past, like he didn't go visit the girlfriend, then after that he wouldn't have run into the brother to be able to, which in general he didn't know, obviously in the future they were going to die. So I'm assuming that's the train of events that led to him bumping into the brother to changing the future, because then afterward we cut back to the future and the characters survived. Instead of getting hit by the train, apparently that little brother that he spoke to in the past actually was still alive. He actually survived thanks to whatever changed in the future, and he saved the main character from getting pushed onto the train, which I'll be honest with you, and I have no idea about anything with this story. I'm already feeling a little bit fishy vibes, like did the future actually even change to begin with? Maybe something different? Like, I'm a little bit puzzled, a little skeptical of that brother, I'm just saying. But according to the brother, he realized that Takemichi traveled through time and basically saved him, but the sister Hachibana Hinata still died, so he's asking him, please, if you could travel through time, help save my sister. So essentially he's asking him to do it again, although I don't know how the main character is going to be able to do it. It's probably going to be one of those spontaneous things, because again, he didn't plan on doing it to begin with. He was thrown in front of a train and his life flashed before his eyes, and bam, he changed the past. And overall, very, very strong first episode, very interesting premise. Again, one last time, it did remind me of Erased, but again, its own twist, and I like this. I'm really interested. I'm a big fan of time travel in general. Like, I love that idea and that concept, and the way it was done in this episode looks really good. The plot is cool. We got these little young punks in the past, which I'm assuming we're going to be able to travel at some point back, again, whether it's via a spontaneous reaction or the main character figuring out how to do it at will. Whatever it is, we'll see it again, so I'm interested to see how that's going to turn out. And so far, this one, if you're trying to figure out what anime to watch for spring 2021, this is a good one. This one looks really, really hype, and I'm liking so far where we're at with it. But I'm very curious what you guys thought of this first episode. How did you feel about it? What do you think about the comparisons to Erased, the time travel, and in general, will you continue watching? I am absolutely going to be watching this. If you want to see me talk more about this one week to week, definitely support this video, like this video, drop a ton of likes until the like bar is like, yo fam, you wildin'. So that way I know you guys want to hear me talk some more Tokyo Revengers, because I really rocked with this first episode. This got my interest immensely. Any overall thoughts and expectations for Tokyo Revengers episode 2 and beyond? I'm looking forward to seeing wherever the heck this goes. But that's all I have for this one. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If you liked anything I had to say or enjoyed the video, drop me a like. I'd greatly appreciate it. And if you want more from me, make sure to subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram. Hit that bell here on YouTube to get all notifications. And if you want to follow any of my other social media, links of course in the description below. I'm ForneverWorld, and as always people, have an awesome day. And remember the golden rule. Anime and manga for life, boy. Have an awesome day. Peace in. And yo, Tokyo Revengers is looking moity hoip right now. Can't wait to watch more.